Today I will be unboxing the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 CPU cooler. It is suitable for both AMD and Intel platforms. I bought this specifically for my new AM5 build, however it will also work with the older AM4 platforms. Inside the box we have our instructions. Here is the cooler heatsink unit. Inside is our mounting hardware. This unit has a LCD screen which displays the temperature, powered by your motherboard's USB. The machining quality looks very nice, don't forget the label. Inside a small box we have our mounting hardware. This bracket is for Intel, fan cable splitter, and our various flavor of offsets. Here is the hardware for the AM4 and 5 platform, and the small fan clips. Here are the two ARGB fans. As you can see, they look very nice and they do spin very well. The reason why I decided to upgrade to AM5 was the fact that I needed a 16-core processor. I managed to purchase a new processor cheaper than an old one, so that's why I decided to upgrade. Now we must remove the stock offsets from our motherboard by removing these 4 screws. Once done, we can install these AM4, AM5 brackets. But first, we need to install these little things. The pink ones are for AMD. You must use the correct spacers to avoid damage to the motherboard or other components. Once the spacers are placed onto the motherboard, we can attach the metal brackets using the screws provided by Thermalright. After that, we need to tighten everything down. Once this step is complete, we are ready to insert our CPU. Here is my new processor. It is a Ryzen 9 9950X. We can begin installation by lifting up the latch. Make sure the cutouts are in the correct place. And carefully place the CPU into the socket. Do not try to remove the plastic cover. It's designed to pop out once you install the CPU. If you've done everything correct, it should look like this. Now, as this cooler unit is quite big, it's a good idea to install your RAM at this stage. Don't ask me how much I paid for this. You may notice one of the RAM clips is not in all the way. I did fix that. Now let's apply some thermal paste. This is what's included. What the hell? Why is it so thick? What the hell? Looks like they gave us thermal putty, not paste. I wonder how long this cooler had been in storage. I don't think thermal paste is meant to look like this. Luckily I have some old Arctic silver which is also quite thick. But at least we can spread this one out. Can cut off a piece of the RAM packaging and use it to spread out the thermal paste. It works quite well. I have to be careful as this is conductive, but AMD have insulated the capacitors. Now we can remove the "Don't Forget Me" label and carefully align everything. Remove the LCD display and tighten down the 2 screws, holding down the heatsink. This is what everything looks like so far. Now to install the fans, you basically put these little spring clips into the holes from both sides and you pull it over the heatsink. I like this idea as it will make cleaning in the future much easier compared to having to remove every single screw to get the fan out. Make sure to orient the fan the correct way. As you can see, I didn't, but I did fix it right after recording this. You can see the spring is pulled over the cooler unit. Now we can install the second fan, mounting it the same way as the other one. should just click into place. You can see how little clearance there is between the cooler unit and the RAM. Now we need to connect all of these cables, starting with the fans. Here you got the ARGB connectors, which plug into these type of sockets. You basically just splice them together, and these allow you to control the LEDs of the fans. The LCD screen just plugs into the motherboard USB header. The first time you start your computer, you'll notice there's only this spinny thing on the display. This is because we need to install the Thermalright drivers for our computer to recognize the device. Once installed, you can see the temperature display for our CPU and GPU. Here we can choose different colors, adjust the brightness, and choose from a few presets. This way we can customize it to whatever we want and make our build look very nice. Now time to run a benchmark and see what temperatures we get. Don't worry, I did orient the fans the correct way. I will be using CPU Z, but any application can be used. As you can see, the temperature rapidly starts to increase, reaching over 90 degrees Celsius. This is not very good. If you plan to use this with factory settings only, I would not recommend it. However, there is something we can do about this. We can undervolt our CPU and retain almost exactly the same performance, but drastically reduce the temperature. I used this video as a guide, the link is in the description. Turn on Expo, change TDP to 120 or 105, change Curve Optimizer to negative and 20, and set PBO limits to auto. And that's it. Now we will run a benchmark and take a look at the results. Our CPU maxes out at around 67 degrees on the same benchmark, which is a drastic improvement, gaining some single core performance but sacrificing a bit of multi-core. But this is a difference of over 20 degrees Celsius, which is big. If you do not plan to undervolt your CPU, it would be best to find a bigger cooler with much more capability for cooling this monster of a CPU. But overall, this is a pretty good cooler for the price. That's it for today. Please like and subscribe.